Hi everybody, and these are my predictions being made in June 2020 for July 2020 and beyond. Hi everyone again, and these are my predictions coming up. Now, I am doing these monthly. I'm not necessarily predicting for the month ahead, but sometimes things do happen quite soon, and obviously other things happen a little bit later. One of the things psychics have the problem with, particularly with making predictions, is sometimes the timing of events. We get the general gist and feeling, as this happened of course with the coronavirus predictions I made and things like that. Right, so last month I was saying, one of the main things I said was that was going to be a high level of social unrest. And of course we've had all this with the riots in America and UK and around the world for Black Lives Matter, and it's just exploded on the scene. So that was the one of the things I said that was important, and it's one of the things actually that came up in the Naadi Oracle predictions about the pandemic. It said there would be following it great social unrest, and my feeling about this is that the unrest we've got, it could have exploded in any form whatsoever. It happened to come out as Black Lives Matter. It could have come out as a gay lives matter type thing. It could have come out as a political type thing. It could have come out as an environmental type argument. What we were seeing here is it only took a match of some issue to explode what is actually a sense that the world has at the moment of great frustration, of being tremendously pent up. And it was like this before the coronavirus hit. Then we put everybody in lockdown, and it's like pulling a thing back with a great big elastic band, isn't it? It's like you sort of held it all there in place, and there's a lot of energy that wanted to explode. And as it happened, it came about, the trigger was all the terrible things that happened to George Floyd and things, which was dreadful, of course. But I think there's a lot more behind all this than meets the eye. First of all, if we think about the spirit of the age at the moment, the spirit of the age is one of great held back frustration, anger, you know, and it's going to come out in some form or another. And I believe that there are forces at work behind the scenes that are recognizing this and steering it and throwing petrol on the fire to make things worse. And I'll come to that in a moment. So it's about frustration. But we're also going to see a lot more coming out, because there's going to be new riots and strikes in particular. This is going to be because of unemployment. Now, this hasn't hit the world quite yet. We still haven't got the bill for the coronavirus, and the bill will be unemployment. And that will be in America and in Europe and in England and Scotland and UK, you know, we're all going to be paying the price of unemployment, and this is going to bring new forms of social unrest. So we're going to see new forms of social unrest around the world. We're going to see it in the UK, we're going to see it in France. I feel there's going to be again more eruptions there with the yellow vest movement. I think we're also going to start to see it in China to a lesser extent at the moment, because that's going to be stomped on, like I said last time, but it's going to come back and China's going to explode again. We're going to see it in India a bit as well, and in the east of Europe particular, Poland and places like that. I feel another areas again where we're going to start to get battles between people, and they'll be on a whole range of different issues. They won't necessarily all be about unemployment and the fact we've lost our jobs. It'll be, every issue is going to be kind of exaggerated to the point that everybody starts to shout about it. They want somebody as an enemy. And there's plenty of division in the world, and people can find enemies everywhere. And the danger is the enemies are often within. You know, we see it within our own people, you know. Okay, so one of the things I think I must take out of this, you know, You know, I don't think everybody will ever see eye to eye in the world. You know, men and women can't see eye to eye because we think differently. Different nations don't see eye to eye because they think differently. You know, even if I'm in Southampton in England here, and I only can go from the Southampton airport, and within an hour I can be in France. Totally different people, you know, we're all different, not equal or better, not better or worse, we're all equal, what I'm saying there. All the world has this diversity of culture, of the way we think. We're all wired differently, I think. We're all equal, but we're wired differently. And so we should be celebrating this diversity. We should celebrate this diversity and see within it a unity. You know, don't see it as us and them all the time, but as a unity. It's so simple, really, isn't it? We all know that, you know, that we can find unity in diversity, but we don't do it. You know, we keep thinking someone else is to blame for all our troubles. So these are the themes that I think we ought to be taking from these things that are happening in the world at the moment, you know. There's lots of division being deliberately played upon, and we must try to see unity within diversity. Right, now, another issue that I wanted to sort of come up with to talk about is the Harvey Weinstein stuff, because I get in the feeling that we really have not seen the end of this, right? That was the tip of the iceberg that happened. I think we're going to get a whole new wave quite soon. It could be in July, it could be a little bit further forward, but a whole new wave of new revelations. And I had some chats with a friend from my patrons on the site, you know, and the person was saying about that they felt sex trafficking things are going to come up. And, you know, I meditated upon this and I thought, pow, there's going to be something really big revealed about sex trafficking. Right, and this is going to have political implications this time, not just within Hollywood. Political implications. I think they're both sides in America, the Democrats and the Republicans, are going to be pulled into this. First of all, the Democrats are going to be sucked in, and there's going to be a number of revelations there about Democrat politicians, and similarly for Republicans. They're going to all be tied round this whole dirt that was going on in Hollywood, but we focused on what Harvey Weinstein was just the tip of the iceberg of. And there's going to be some more big stars implicated in this, mainly because they were complicit in the fact that they covered things up. But it's politicians next. And like I said last time, you know, we choose our heroes very unwisely, I think. We look to our heroes from places like Hollywood, even from computer games, you know, and from the most inappropriate people, if you ask me, that we see on television. Who are we going to have as our heroes in the years ahead? Who do we want, you know? Are we choosing people with good values, with good humanitarian beliefs, with senses, like I was saying, about who don't preach hate but preach unity, you know? And do we look to intelligent people, or do we just look to pretty looking people, you know? Who do we model ourselves on? That's very important, because who we model ourselves on is who we gradually become as well. Okay, I'm going to move on and tell you some more things, particularly about politics. But don't forget also, if you enjoy these little videos, you might enjoy my books, and in particular Messages from the Universe, which is all about my insights, I suppose. It was almost like an epiphany, actually, of how I found that you could find out about the future to the extent that we're doing nowadays, you know, how it transformed my life. So that's Messages from the Universe, and I'm writing a new book at the moment too. So here's a little ad for that. If you're enjoying these mystic talks, you will enjoy my books, available now in paperback, on Kindle, or on Audible. Well, that was painless, wasn't it, that little advert? So I hope you go and get the book. Now, politics, and I'm focusing a bit more this time on American politics, actually. Now, we don't get all the American news here in the UK, you know, so I kind of go with my gut feelings with these things. So forgive me if I get things silly, you know, if I say anything daft, because I'm not an informed journalist. I'm a psychic, okay. But I was getting the sense that the 4th of July in America is going to be a kind of bad day. You know, I mean, it's the celebration day, the 4th of July. But I feel as if this is when the riots and things are going to be really triggered. I feel as 4th of July is going to be a very dodgy day this year in America's history. You know, something is happening on that date. Now, I say I don't normally like to give a specific date on things, but I just feel the 4th of July, I was sensing this while I was deeply tuned in after giving a reading to somebody, and it was coming to me about that, and I was getting pictures of this. And I unfortunately see guns on the street, you know, because I see much more division, and this time more arguments over all sorts of issues, but coming up on the 4th of July, right? And I think a lot of this is fueled, and I think we're going to see a lot more about this, that a lot of the things that have been happening are fueled by foreign interference. We're going to see more revelations about that, which people are not going to believe at first. And it's basically what's happening. I feel there's a Marxist type of organisation behind a lot of things, including Black Lives Matter. And we're going to hear a lot more about that in the press, that there's a Marxist organisation, and that Marxist organisation is being funded not by Marxists but by the Chinese money that is using this as a way to use a proxy person, as it were, a proxy organisation as it were, to cause more and more unrest in America particularly, and Europe, anywhere, any democratic countries. Because frankly, I think we put too much reliance on China. Right, and I know this is something that Trump's going on about and things, but putting politics aside, I would like to say I feel that we put so much reliance on China. What happens in a crisis? You know, what happens in a military crisis when you haven't got any steel and you haven't got any plastic, or you haven't got any, in particular, like we had this coronavirus conflict, as it were. What happens when you haven't got all the medical equipment or the drugs? You know, we are all, because of the greed of globalism, we are all vulnerable. And one of the things I felt we took away from this coronavirus, which I felt was so good, was that the small businesses were thriving again for the first time. The little farm down the road was at last being able to sell their goods, and you find, hey, these things are better. Hey, the local coffee at this place is fantastic. It's not like the crap you get at Starbucks and all the other ones, you know. I think the greatest despair is when I saw everybody's queuing for McDonald's when it was lifted. But anyway, so there's money behind pushing us into further conflict within democracies. I mean, Australia was hit by a huge IT attack on all its mainframes and things like that, you know. And where was that from? They didn't say. It was from China, wasn't it? And NASA years ago was all the information, a long time back, was hijacked by China. We can't have this. This is dangerous. And I feel that money is behind this. Now, coming over to America at the moment, Nigel Farage, I see, is flowing over to America. And I don't think he's flown over just for any small purpose. I feel he's going to be there talking at Trump rallies. He's going to be pulled out as one of the surprise guests, and he's going to talk about this type of thing I've just spoken about now. And I think he's going to talk about China in particular, and the fact that they're trying to gag him here in the UK and taking him off LBC radio and so forth. So I think we're going to see a much, much higher profile for him, and maybe becoming part permanently of the Trump team. Okay, so that will be interesting, that he moves from British politics to American politics. Okay, so I think something's going to happen there. We're going to see some big time stuff with that, and he's going to talk about some of those ideas that I've just expressed there about China in particular, and lots more, I think. So, and I think Chinese money has been given to the Democrats. Now, that's not the Democrats' fault, because I think, in a way, they don't even know it's come from China, but a big deal's going to be made of that. Similarly, I think there's also been backhanders going on to both sides, to the Republicans too, because it's like we're trying to get everybody in our pocket. Chinese money is being used to undermine democracy in the West, I believe. Right? That's my feeling. I mean, what do you think? Put it in the comments. Do you feel the same thing as I do with this? Or is this just my fantasy going off somewhere with these, and I'm not getting predictions at all, I'm just getting crazy stuff, you know? But that's what I feel. and that's my feeling and it often comes when I come out of doing my readings and things like this. I get flashes of these things, and I get feelings like this. And I feel that there's also been bribes specifically given to the Clinton family, you know. I say family because I want to extend it. So something has happened there, and I feel something's going to come up reasonably soon. Might not be in July, but it will be this year sometime. There's going to be some revelations about new bribes being given. But like I say, both parties, I think everybody's being compromised, and that's why people can't speak out, you know. So Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, and I think that is going to be happening still. And when you do it, you find some pretty nasty stuff. Biden as well. Now I sense that he's going to be ill, and I said that I felt right at the beginning last year, I said that Elizabeth Warren would lead the Democrats, and I still think that might happen. I get the feeling that Biden, something's going to happen to him. I thought there was going to be, there's possibly an illness, could even be a scandal of some sort, but something pulls him out of the race, and they have to pull someone else in. And I feel it was Elizabeth Warren. And I don't think she's the most dynamic of people to lead them, but she's kind of a compromise. And I think she might do quite well. But on top of all this, I get the sense that there may even be delay to the elections. I think they might be put off. Something to do with vote rigging, but also something to do with bribery. And I feel the two things kind of say, put the brakes on it. And it's as if Trump takes a ticket out of Putin's book. Because Putin there in Russia wants to a mandate to carry on as president indefinitely, pretty much, in his view. And I think he's going to get it. And he'll be able to say, oh, the people have voted for this, but it's a fake vote. Right, so we got to be very careful in Europe for the same sort of following the same sort of patterns. So, you see, I think the problems in the world at the moment is really, we think it's about, you know, black and white, right? Or we think it's about left Republicans and Democrats. It's actually, I think it's about globalism and nationalism. You know, and I'm not sure either of those things are right. Nationalism's not a good thing either. But globalism has poisoned the world, in my opinion. It's enormously dangerous, where companies have more money than small countries, and it's getting worse all the time. So I think we've got to rethink globalism and nationalism. You know, these are some of the things that are behind the political movements that are happening, particularly in America and Europe at the moment, and particularly at the moment in America. Okay, well, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm going to tell you a little bit more in a moment. And if you're following this channel, don't forget to click the little bell if you're new here, because you can follow the channel and get updates all the time. And if you follow me, I'll give regular updates for predictions and so forth. So follow the channel. And don't forget to put some comments, okay? Put some comments below. Would you like a personal psychic reading? My website at psychics.co.uk offers quality phone readings with top psychics, astrologers, mediums and clairvoyants. So a lot of these ideas that I've got here today, I've been thinking about from questions that have been asked me from the patrons on the website, on the site here. You know, we have, as you know, a community of people here who contribute and help to keep this channel going. We call them patrons. And if you give a small subscription each month, it helps us to keep things going, and we give little extras to the patron channel. And what's been going on in the patron section recently, I've been putting all the funny sort of vlog type stuff between me and Jane, you know, when we've been doing the fun stuff on the picnics on the roundabouts and all the funny stuff. You know, I put all that on that's going to be a separate site which is opening up and is out there actually. If you want to have a look for it, it will be in the description below. I'll put a link to that. But also you'll get first updates there on the patron section. And also on the patron section you'll be able to join me for live shows such as the meditations we're doing at the moment, and I'll do some questions and answers, just me and you guys, you know, about these type of issues we're talking today. So that's for the patrons. So become a patron and help the site, and that also helps us with our charitable work too, if you have a look at the videos about that. Okay, now back to the issues at hand. Okay, so George Floyd. Okay, now I've been watching all this, and something to me doesn't feel right about it all. You know, like I say, I feel as if there's been some foreign money behind all this, flaring it all up, petrol being thrown on the flames, and taking advantage of everybody's frustration. And that's not me saying this. Please don't let me underestimate the importance of the George Floyd stuff, because, you know, police brutality towards any group is terrible, you know. And also any forms of slavery, both, you know, the worst slavery we've had. You know, I mean, I'm not one to tear down history. I mean, because, for example, I think the worst modern day slavery we've had, really, that must trump everything, was everything what happened in Nazi Germany. So, and the big companies behind that were companies like, I believe, and if I'm right, but I think Volkswagen was behind it, wasn't it? BMW, and those, you know, those sort of companies. Should we tear down the logos of BMW and Volkswagen because of what was done in the past, you know? Or should we just let it stand and actually become a bit more aware, all of us, of the terrible things that have been done in the past, and are still being done in the world, with the slavery type things, and seeing other races as being lesser than another one, you know? Like I said, my theme today is really unity in diversity. You know, we must try to see the common denominators of us all. But anyway, something was wrong with that whole George Floyd thing. There's a word buzzing around called deep fake, and I wonder also if there has been some twist to it. And I think we're going to see something about that coming up in the coming weeks as well. There's going to be some new revelations about that type of thing, and also some revelations about, you know, the actual extent and influence of China again, and foreign powers, because I want to include Russia here too, and possibly even North Korea, with things going on influencing our social media, because that's the way we change people's minds nowadays. I mean, did you know, for example, that TikTok is owned by Chinese money? You know, that's, somebody said that to me the other day. You better check your facts. Always check your facts on this. I haven't fully checked this out in full detail, but someone said to me TikTok was owned by Chinese money. What a worrying thing that any of these things can be owned actually by anybody. You know, why do we need to own things like that? You know, what's the power behind it? Who's pushing the agenda? Who is running this world? You know, I don't think we know. In fact, I'd go to the extent, and this is a bit extreme, but I'd go to the extent of saying we're already at war with China, but we don't know it, and the Chinese people don't know it either, because the Chinese people don't have any say about what happens. They're just used like fodder. If you look at the history of China, you know, first of all, it's not just one country; it's multiple countries. It's just, they're as diverse in China as we are in Europe. You know, with different types of mindsets and people and languages and all the rest of it. But if you look at the history of China, when they built the wall, the Great Wall, the people, the economy and the lives and the slavery again of the people was used to build those walls and build the great tombs of the emperors, until every single bit of resource was used just for the one man, you know, the one emperor, you know. Terrible things, and it's happening again. History repeats itself. I think it's the most important topic we must learn at school, really, history, because nobody knows about history now. The history you know of is only from Wikipedia. You need to know and understand history, because it all goes round again and again. You know, you don't need psychics. You can just look at history to see what happens. Anyway, I'm just going back to a couple of other things. So I'm going off on a rant here. But China in the East, I see more troubles in the East. Last time I said about Kim Jong-un, I don't know if it was last time or the time before, recently I said that he would start to use actual weaponry. And he did, didn't he? He blew up that centre that was used for South Korea and North Korea to sort of use as a meeting point of minds. He blew it all up. He didn't like the idea that he was getting these propaganda balloons going across with messages and dollars attached to try to change people's minds. You see, we haven't got social media to hit them with. So that was kind of true. I think we'll probably see a few more things with North Korea. But my main concern, actually, is about some new conflicts. There has already been a bit of a conflict between India and China. There's been some border clashes type of thing. It's not got huge. But I see that getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because India is not a country that is going to be bullied. It doesn't want to be bullied. And China is looking for new enemies all the time, I think. It needs propaganda. It needs things to distract people from the mistakes and failures that are being made by the regime in China. Remember, China is not a democracy. India is a democracy. We should respect all the democracies of the world. The democracies of the world should work together. I think that there's going to be big clashes there between India and China in the coming months. Between now and Christmas, but certainly even sooner than that, I feel there's going to be we're going to see major news items about that, and major conflicts and thoughts with whether America and the West, whose side do we come down on if it gets really dodgy. Remember, India is a nuclear power. And I feel India one day is going to try to expand its borders, but I feel China too is going to try to push down that direction, because it's causing all sorts of troubles in the north of India with Maoists and things like that. So I feel there's going to be India's going to have to stand firm, and I feel India will win out in the end, you know. And I actually think India's going to expand its border a little bit, actually, and then we're going to have arguments about pushing it back again. You know, who owns that area? China wants to push right the way down to Burma. India, in the past, all places, it used to extend right down through Burma, Indonesia. It used to extend, Bharat used to be part of Afghanistan, used to be part of it. India's nearly half the size it used to be. So, you know, who owns what? And I think there's going to be conflicts there. And again, question marks about Tibet over this period too, because remember, Tibet is a country that has been invaded. It is not a country that voluntarily wants to be part of China. So I'm pretty anti-China, as you can see, and I think we're going to see much more world news about that in the coming months. Okay, so have I covered everything? Yes, pretty much. I think that's just about everything. I've got my notes here in front of me. That's pretty much the main things I wanted to talk to you today about. In the economy, obviously the economy is going to be, well, it is in serious trouble. I think a few bright lights, if anybody is investing. First of all, I'd stay away from IT stocks, because I think they're not going to be as valuable as you think. I mean, I feel like I said Apple. I think their stocks are going to drop bad. Oil, I think, is a good area actually at the moment to keep your money in, because it's very suppressed. I don't do investments, mind you. I'd never put a penny on a stock exchange, but people ask me when they ask me for my readings and things. I feel oil's going to be a good one to keep your money in. And also, out of this whole, we're going to see some terrible problems with unemployment, and you know, we got to pay for all what's happened and what's going to happen, because the riots aren't going to cost. They're going to cost us a lot of money too. But I think the UK is going to fare quite well. I know it sounds mad, but I think the UK is going to fare quite well out of all this. And we'll all do badly, but I think compared to others, we're going to do quite well. But my theme today is unity and diversity, you know. I know I've kind of been a bit anti-Chinese. I'm not China. I'm not anti-Chinese though, you know. My heart goes out to the people of Hong Kong, for example. I'm not against any people of the world. So we should be looking for unity in diversity, and also looking to who our heroes should be, you know, and maybe starting to question and pull down some of these regimes that are non-democratic in the world, you know, and by economics, not by war. And to remember also that life, you know, and also I make these predictions, it always feels so gloomy, doesn't it? It always sometimes feels gloomy talking about these things that are happening in the world. But we've got to remember that this world, you know, is a temporary thing. We shouldn't be over-attached to the material things in the world. We've got to pass through this world, you know. We've got to pass over it like we're passing over a bridge, you know. Our life is just passing through. you know. And we got, and as someone said, you know, life's a bridge over a sea of troubles. We must pass over it, not build on it. That's been attributed to a number of different people, but that is the kind of the way we must do it. Pass through this world. Don't worry too much about what's going on out there. What is more important than all these things and troubles that we see on the news that take all our attention? What is more important is that we get our connection to the divinity within ourselves, you know. That's what we're here for. We're not here for all these troubles and all these things and all these arguments that the world has. If we could all become spiritually minded people, if we could all discover the divinity within ourselves, we'd see that we're all the same, you know, and we all know that. All you watching this know that. Our conscience tells us, we know it. But we got to start practicing it and practicing spirituality. And that means, I feel, understanding the divinity within us and understanding that that divinity within us is the same for everybody. It's the same consciousness that permeates all of us, like white light coming through a glass window, coming out in many stains and different colours. The light is diverse and beautiful because of its diversity, and yet it has one source. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. And thank you for following the channel. Don't forget, click that little bell down there if you're new to this channel. And have a look in the description below, because I've got a new channel out with Jane and myself, with just the little funny bits and things like that. So you can go and subscribe to that one as well if you're keen on our work. And we've got some live stuff coming up every Friday. And there's going to be some more new live stuff coming up soon for those that want to become a patron. And don't forget, become a patron. See you soon. Bye for now. My wife Jane and I do our public work for free. We raise money through the theatres to raise money for our Hamilton Parker Foundation. This is a not-for-profit company that is soon to be registered as a charity. Now, our work is going in to help with the objectives of this charity, but you can help us as well by becoming what we call a patron of this channel. Now, as a patron, you'll get, first of all sorts of really interesting benefits. You'll have a sort of behind the scenes look at what goes on with our work. You'll get videos before other people. You'll get new videos. You'll get all sorts of benefits that are explained in the patron website, and it has various tiers that you can subscribe to. So you can subscribe to just a little bit and get a few benefits, or you can subscribe a lot and get a lot of benefits. And what this means is that we can raise some money through this channel. Now, this money's not going to me and Jane to give us a fancy lifestyle. This money is going into our foundation that has some fantastic objectives. Now, the first thing we want to do with the foundation is, first of all, get a cyber center together, a cyber temple, as it were, a place where we can introduce new people to you through this channel. So by supporting this channel and giving something to the as a patron, you will find that this channel will start to get better and better content with more and more interesting things going on. We'll be able to get the cameras, we'll be able to have the space, we'll be able to have the right setting where we can build the energy to do things such as mediumistic circles and so forth online. But also, our work extends further than that, because we are hoping ultimately to build a spiritual center, a psychic ashram, as it were, where people like you can come to visit and take part in an interactive way through this channel as well. But also, we are doing a lot of what we call spiritual service. We are going out and giving a large part of the income we generate to people in India who are destitute. We've given to schools, we've fed children that are in need, we've helped mentally handicapped people, we've given cows to old people in India. Some of all this you'd have seen in my movie Mystic Journey to India on Amazon. But all of this is part of our mission, part of our remit to help the world. Because we're not only trying to find our divine nature, we're also trying to live what we learn and express it in ways that are really beneficial to the world. So if you follow this channel, but more importantly, if you become a patron of this channel, you can help us to take this whole mission onto a much higher level than any psychic work has ever been done before.